There are moments in a man's life when the world keeps moving, but he simply stops. David had been sitting on that park bench for 3 hours. He wasn't counting. He just knew, in the way you know when you've stopped caring about time altogether. When time itself begins to feel like a punishment rather than a gift. The golden light of the autumn afternoon filtered through the trees, casting long shadows across the empty paths. Leaves in shades of amber and crimson drifted lazily to the ground. In the distance, city noise hummed faintly before fading into an unnatural silence. Joggers passed by in rhythmic determination. Children laughed somewhere beyond his line of sight. But David saw none of it. He was somewhere else entirely, trapped inside a memory he could not escape and a future he was terrified to face. He wasn't thinking about the past in clear images anymore. What haunted him now was the feeling that something essential had gone quiet, that the world had lost a certain brightness, a certain rhythm that once made existence feel worth the effort. He was thinking about a laugh. That laugh. The kind that felt like proof that life could still surprise you with joy. Bright, unguarded, alive in a way that made existence feel suddenly larger and more generous. The kind you don't truly miss until its absence turns the world into a quieter, heavier place. David had always believed that life was fair, if only you were patient enough. That beneath the chaos there existed some hidden balance, some invisible architecture that eventually made sense of the suffering, that if you lived with enough courage and attention, existence would honor that effort. He still believed it. Somewhere beneath the crushing weight and the suffocating silence, he had to. Because the alternative, a cold, indifferent universe where nothing mattered and everything was eventually erased, was something he refused to accept. And David was not a man who gave up on life so easily. He didn't hear the stranger approach. That was the first strange thing. The park was quiet, almost unnervingly so, and a man of that presence should have made a sound. Footsteps on gravel, the rustle of clothing, something. But one moment, the bench beside him was empty. And the next, it wasn't. The man sat with effortless composure, as if he had been there all along and David was the intruder. He was well-dressed in a way that didn't scream for attention, clothes that seemed to have chosen him rather than the other way around. His face carried a quiet, genuine warmth, the sort that felt both deeply kind and quietly commanding. It was the expression of someone who had seen the full spectrum of human suffering and still chose compassion. Confident, yet gentle. Certain, yet patient. The face of a man who had never doubted himself, and who now looked at David with calm, understanding care. After a long silence, the stranger turned toward David, and he smiled. It was a good smile, disarming, the kind that makes you want to trust before you know anything at all. Strangely, it worked. David felt something loosen in his chest, a knot he hadn't realized was there, tied tight by weeks of grief. For the first time in what felt like forever, the fear receded. It was as if the universe had finally shifted and sent someone who understood. The stranger said nothing at first. He simply extended his hand, slowly, deliberately, palm up. Not a greeting. Not an offer to shake. An offer. David stared at the open palm. He felt no unease, only a deep, steady calm. For the first time in weeks, the weight he had been carrying seemed to shift, as though the world was finally moving in the direction he needed it to. He thought of that laugh he would never hear again. And for the first time in weeks, David felt something other than grief. He felt curious,